I want to start by just building a little bit on what Armando was saying, and I'm going to share an experience I had just a couple of weeks ago. My family and I recently moved into the Sacramento area. We had been in New Mexico for 4 years, and we're living in Elk Grove, and we decided, just after New Year's, let's take some time. My daughter was back from college. Let's go do something fun with the family. So we went to Old Town Sacramento, and my wife had scheduled for us to be part of a tour of the Old Town Sacramento Underground. And we had to be there at 12:30 in the afternoon on a Sunday morning, or Sunday afternoon. So we said, well, let's find a church nearby. We'll go to Mass around 10:30 or 11, and we'll be just in time. So we looked around. The only Mass at 10:30 we found was in Portuguese. So we went to the Portuguese parish. My wife was talking to the lady next to her, and she ended up getting invited to they were going to be killing a pig at 11 o'clock that night. It was a big celebration of the community, very close to the ground, the earth, and this was what they did. Great. We didn't go. But in any case, the Mass was in Portuguese. I prayed along as Armando was describing. I prayed all the prayers in Spanish. My kids know a little bit of Spanish. They kind of struggled along. Thankfully, the homily was in English, so they were okay. But my 14-year-old son, as we were leaving, said to me, Dad, I never realized how great God is. He understands all these languages. And I said, yeah, that's right. You made a connection there. That's great. So that's where we have to kind of check our prejudices and realize that God is there for everybody, and there's no linguistic prerequisite for hearing the gospel or for participating in the church. So that's what we're all about. A little bit about myself. When I was 6 years old, I wanted to be a priest. By the time I was 7 or 8, I said, no, I'm going to be an astronaut. And my dad said, well, at least you're still going to heaven. But over time, my interests changed, and I eventually settled on computer science. And I went to school. I got my degree in computer science. But during my time in college, the first time away from my family, I grew up in New Mexico. I'm a Hispanic, from a Hispanic family. Faith was at the heart of everything that we lived. I didn't see that with all of my peers in college, and it strengthened my faith. And so I said, well, you know what? I want to be an evangelist. I want to bring the good news, especially to my people like myself who are somehow disconnected, because in high school, not all of my Hispanic brothers and sisters were really as engaged in the church as my family was. So there's a great treasure here. So I went and I studied theology, and I got my master's degree in theology. But what I found out, and it was God's planning better than I could have planned it myself, my gift for math and science ended up being a great gift for the church. So for the last 20 years, I've been doing a lot of work in the area of sociological research, identifying trends, sometimes statistically, sometimes through like focus groups, conversations, qualitative analysis. And so I've learned to use all of these tools. And when the fifth Ecuentro process started, they were looking for someone to kind of head up the research and the analysis part of this event. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the Ecuentro a little bit later, but they came to me. And so I was the one who had that gift to share with the church in this way. So that's the context. I want to share, before I get into the Ecuentro stuff, the USCCB has worked for years with the Center for Applied Research in the Apostolate at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., Serra, as it's also known. And every year they do some statistical analysis of the seminarian class, the seminarians that are graduating and getting ordained during that year. So this is some information from the class of 2019. And you can see here 70% of the seminarians were Caucasian, European American, white. 14% were Hispanic and Latino. And that number has been more or less the same for the last 8 or 10 years, bouncing between 14 and 17%. When we talk about, and I'll show you a slide in a little bit, specific numbers, but when we talk about the young Catholic population here in the United States, let's say under age 30, because that's where most of our seminarians come from. How many of you think Hispanics are more than 14% of the young Catholics in this country? Raise your hand. How many of you think it's more than 20%? More than 30%? More than 40%? More than 50%? More than 60%? It's about 52, 53%. So that's where we are. So one of the issues that we want to raise for Serra Club International, as well as vocation directors nationwide, and of course it varies from diocese to diocese. But there's a whole lot more Hispanic Catholics out there than are represented in our seminarian classes. Very similarly with the profession class of 2018, 16% Hispanic. I'm sorry, no, that was the Asian and Pacific Islander. It's 10% Hispanic among the profession class. So these are brothers and sisters, religious brothers and sisters. Participation in parish ministry. So these are the things that the CARET tracks, the USCCB is watching to see what are the factors that we can say really contribute to young people and their growth in spirituality, their growth in connection to the church, and possibly their openness to vocation. So almost 80% of the seminarians at some point were altar servers. 50% of the profession class were also altar servers. So that's the big thing. They were engaged from a young age. Half had become lectors, almost half extraordinary ministers of the Holy Eucharist, engaged in Catholic campus ministry or youth ministry, and then music ministry. What other types of religious activities? Youth group, they were involved as adolescents. Newman Center in college, 30% had been involved in Newman Centers. They'd gone to World Youth Day. And this is something that the studies have shown over and over again, is having that kind of experience of pilgrimage, traveling for your faith, traveling to encounter a large group. Here in Southern California, Los Angeles Youth Day is a big event. Draws over 15,000, close to 20,000, is it? Close to 20,000 every year. It's for one day, but that has a significant impact. And people come from all over the region. NCYC, the National Catholic Youth Conference, draws over 20,000 every other year from all over the country. World Youth Day, even more massive, and it could be anywhere in the world. So these are things that really have an impact. High school youth conferences, NCYC again is named there. We're seeing that people who engage in activities, take a big step in their faith, are also, this is kind of a prime source for vocations to the priesthood and religious life. Prayer practices before entering seminary or religious life. Eucharistic adoration, number one. The rosary, retreats, Bible study, Lectio Divina. What are those things that are really hallmarks, not only hallmarks of being Catholic, but are special to the Catholic Church and the Catholic faith? Nobody else does Eucharistic adoration. Nobody else has Jesus Christ physically present in the assembly every Sunday. When our young people live that, when they interiorize that, and Eucharistic adoration has a powerful, it expresses that in a powerful way, they're lifelong. They're not going away. What are some other things? Mary and the saints, the rosary, doing that at home, doing that at church, in youth group, giving them an experience of connection to the saints and to our 2,000-year-long history of spirituality and spiritual growth, and love and devotion to our mother, the Blessed Virgin Mary. These kinds of things are particular to being Catholic, and when people embrace and appreciate and value those things, there's a place in their heart that's open to vocation in the church. Retreats, powerful experiences, not only of encounter with God, but encounter with the community, their brothers and sisters who are on this journey with them. We can't let those things slide. We have to engage. And this isn't just about Hispanics, obviously. So across the board, how do we engage this young generation? Bible study, Lectio Divina. You know, something that wasn't asked, and we'll come back to this in a little bit. Service. One of the things that, and Pope Francis emphasizes this, we have 150 years of Catholic social teaching. And of course, it goes beyond that. I mean, this is, you know, when it, after Rerum Novarum, when it kind of explicitly became that. But it's rooted in our tradition. And this is something that is unique among Christian denominations. Not only that, it's also something that resonates deeply in the hearts of this young generation. So engaging, because of our faith, in peace and justice activities, those are things that speak to this generation in ways, and then connecting them to the tradition, not just to do it, but to say, we do this because we are Catholic, and showing them how meaningful that is and how rooted it is in who we are. That strengthens their faith, that strengthens their commitment. Additional sources of encouragement for vocation. The parish priest. And it's not just about having the priest come and give a talk to the young people. Have him stay. Have him play ping pong. Have him play cards. Have him engage with them in just being. You know, get aside from the educatee mode, and let them just be together. I think in some ways our priests have become afraid, and they don't want to, you know, the near occasion of sin. I think we need to overcome that, because our young people need to have a connection with faith leaders in the community. And it can be done in a safe way. We don't forget the safety, that has to be there. But let's keep the relationship. We don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. A friend encouraged them to consider religious life or the priesthood. Other religious, their mother and their father. This is especially true, I think, in the Hispanic community. We need to engage families, and we need to have resources and models, maybe even role plays, ways that conversations can be held. Encourage that to happen at home. Other parishioners, people take notice. It's what Armando was saying about everyone is called to be a youth minister. Everyone is called to accompany. If you see a young person who's engaged, approach them, compliment them, and say, have you thought about serving the church? Have you thought about becoming a priest? Have you thought about becoming a sister? Would you be a youth minister? Would you be a lay minister? Would you be a music minister? These are all ways of helping our young people to recognize that they actually have a gift from God and might be able to share that in the church. Their campus minister and their youth minister as well.